based on the respective utilization of in the governance. SP 853 is there. NIST, the famous National Institute of Standards and Technologies, they have like standard publication 853, which guides us on dealing with this cybersecurity controls. They are equally applicable on this. So if you are looking for a career in this industrial cybersecurity, you have a certification which you can do is like GICSP. It is very similar to GISPP. So it has like 115 questions. Practicing it's the main challenge. You need to clear with 71% of the score. You can give this exam on Pearson VU. I hope most of you guys knows about it. There are different courses from SANS as well. 410, 418, 515, 612, 613 that provides comprehensive knowledge on these IT security. International Society of Automation, they also have certain certifications. This is their track. So if you want to become cybersecurity expert, you need to complete certificate 1. So you can do certificate 2, 3, or 4. And if you want to go through cybersecurity expert, you need to do all 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can attempt for the cybersecurity expert. Thank you. I have taken a lot time. I hope, I can open this session for any question answers.
आमिर भाई पिछली स्लाइड पे ले आए इसको वहीं पे.
Welcome to Global Information Security Society for the Professional of Pakistan.
Certain protocols. Protocol is basically the language, the signs that one guy can send to another and another can send to me, and we both need to understand each other. So all the automations related to heating and refrigerating, like HVAC controls, is followed by BACnet. So embedded devices security. Right. So normal enterprise network protocols, they are same as DNS, DHCP, HOP, and I don't think we need to elaborate that. So now we come to this embedded device security. Like I said before, security through obscurity. A lot of security equipment and tools are not available easily in the market, and the prime reason for not getting that available easily is the same, that they should not become the part of your I think there is more. Can you see the screen? Or... Yeah. Yeah. So these are like, I think I have, I cannot move the screen. I'm once, well, only 1 minute I'm stopping this share and resharing it again. I think I'm getting issues with sharing. Yeah. So now we will talk about embedding device security. Now we need to secure, we will discuss how we can secure these OT devices. So physically, we can secure IT and OT computing devices to the infrastructure. We can have like physically placing certain switches, certain routers. So, like in my last presentation, we showed the role of TMZ in between IT and OT environment, that we can create just the area between IT and OT where convergence is happening. We can create a DMZ zone where having a firewall on the end, on the both side of DMZ. Like normally we create this DMZ for all the services that are exposed to the internet, and we install like WAF there. So, we can perform the filtering, and, that where we can allow the only permissible content inside our trusted network. So similarly, we can create this IT OT environment by placing that DMZ as a segregation. Similarly, strong access controls, they also need to be defined there. We can deploy strong authentication methods. We can have a brief description on these authentication methods for OT environment as well. We can do another session on that. We can disable or install removable media. Certain OT devices or certain PLCs, they come with certain ports where removable media or USBs can be installed. So we need to block them as well on certain systems. All the environment having like supervisory controls or engineering workstations that are connected to the OT field bus, we need to make sure that they don't have any removable media drives or ports for any kind of a connectivity. We should create an ICS security policy. We will do a separate governance section in here. I have not highlighted governance that much in these sessions because the ICS governance is same as IT governance. You need to make strategy, you need to make policy, you need to make procedures, and all the controls are same. But inshallah, in future, we will be doing separate sessions for that, where we will also explore the tools, the monitoring tools, seen what role they have in ICS monitoring, vulnerability scannings, how we can use various vulnerability scanners, which I named before as well. Tenable OT is there, which can be used to scan the OT environment. There are a lot of penetration testing tools available in the market, like Burp Suite we have for web applications. There are OT penetration testing tools available in the market, which we can explore. A lot of penetration testing we can do from Kali's environment as well, that we will explore in future presentation. Entire penetration testing, all these things we can do. So similarly, we can have ICS security policy as well. In the governance area, we also have risk assessment for this OT environment. We can prepare separate risk registers for OT environment. We have this similar, like in a normal IT environment, we create policies and we take exceptions of it. So if any vulnerabilities have been identified, if any obsolete firmware is in our OT environment, we can ask for the policy exception. We can ask for the workaround to make sure that OT environment, that OT having an outdated firmware cannot create problem for other OT devices. So this ICS security policy, it should also prohibit the use of any unauthorized removable media control device in the OT environment. Printed output should not be allowed from the OT environment until and unless they are necessarily required to, do some kind of a legal proceedings. Control to the backup data and media. Like I said, this data historian server, it is basically containing the logs of and all the OT environment devices. Whatever OT is doing, there are logs created for each devices. So backups data is there, backup is there as well. Normal OT device, it has certain configuration. As we have seen network protocols, the deployment of network protocols also require certain configuration on those devices. So those configuration should be stored, God forbid, if any device becomes faulty, so you can replace the device and you can copy the configuration from the engineering workstation to that particular OT device. Power buttons we should normally disable, and we should not provide any unauthorized access on those power buttons. Those should be only restricted through this supervisory control systems. Normally, the SCADA system, they have a lot of toggle buttons, on and off buttons. So these disabling and protecting power buttons does not mean you will physically, disconnect the wires to power button of any PLC. So if your supervisory control and data acquisition system like SCADA, they have certain power buttons, okay, you are authorized to turn on this device or authorized to turn off this OT device. So they should be strongly managed. Whatever device has to be turned on should be through a proper change management process. That change management process bypass like approving authorities, it should come to certain cap kind of a thing. Those people then can have an idea, okay, this device was turned on, this device was turned off. Proper log from that OT device should be coming to the data historian, the database for logs for that every device. And here I will like to share a tip. If you have to connect your SIEM with your OT environment, you just need to collect the data that is coming into that historian server, data historian server. So for SIEM monitoring, yeah, if you have to say like I have to monitor the OT devices, you're not getting your log sources from the OT devices. You will go to this data historian server and you will only collect logs from there. So you can get the logs of entire OT devices, because OT devices, they don't have anything to process. They don't have any memory. They don't have any storage. They don't have any processor. Processor means microprocessors are there, which is called as controllers. So anything inside any OT is usually referred to as controller. Processor, there's a difference between processor and controller. Every processor has input and output. Every controller has an input and output. But we can embed in a processor, we can embed a logic, how to perform that input and output, and we can change that. But in certain controllers, they are pre-embedded logics, how to process that input and output. So they also don't store any kind of information. What an OT has is only the firmware. Firmware means any software written on the EEPROMs inside that OT device. It is there. You cannot override them without supervisory control. So if you need to collect logs from any OT device, you need to get into data historian server and you need to extract that logs. That who has accessed that OT device, who forwarded firmware change, who changed the EEPROM configurations, all these changes that are happening in the OT. Once again, I cannot change it now. So enforcement actions that we can take, from the previous presentation, they're the same. We can physically secure the local sensor and the actuators. These are like devices, sensors and actuators. We need to physically protect them. Like smart meters, they have to be properly protected. They are inside a shelf. The shelf is locked. Only authorized guy with the key can open that shelf. The physical protection of all these sensors and actuators is also important. If they got damaged, definitely your OT environment will suffer. You need to secure the field bus and the local network connection and network media, which is connecting all these devices of the OT. You need to secure PLCs, RTUs, IDs. You know these name of these devices. What are they? If you have a long distance communication between your field sites and your command center or control center, so you need to protect that communication as well, be it logical or be it physical, like control security of towers. They have a like radio communication between your two sites, so you need to control you need to ensure that physical security of those towers, security of SCADA servers, SCADA controllers, and historian. In the control center, historian server is the key that needs to be controlled. Similarly, firewall, router, DMZ, all these devices that are part of your network. Configuration management is also a very top issue in OT devices. As I said before, the default configuration, if there, can compromise your like normal server if it has a default configuration, SQL server running with SA account with the SA password. So definitely, anyone can get into it. When any network device running with default account, it can get compromised as well. So a misconfiguration is the king of all issues, and for that you need to ensure you have proper configuration management. You remove all vulnerabilities if they are coming. You know about these vulnerabilities. Like I said, NIST has this OT module as well. Like it has for AD and normal pro scanners. It has also like NIST for OT environment. They can scan the vulnerabilities. They can tell you about it, so you can configure them properly. They have like these kind of flaws. Any misconfiguration can lead to different kind of cyber attacks. So standards and references, we'll go a quick walkthrough on it. These are like, this is International Society of Automation, ISA, that we have discussed before. They're 95. The framework, Purdue framework we discussed before, they have these standards that needs to be complied on the OT environment. Everyone has their own brief on it. If audiences say, we can have a session on separate one of them. But in general, they have like 4 different families. For general OT security, we have these standard 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4. For policies and procedures, we have 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, and 2.5. For system security, we have like 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. And for component-based security, we have 4.1 and 4.2. So the family, it's a family of standards based on the respective utilization in the governance. SP 853 is there. NIST, the famous National Institute of Standards and Technologies, they have like standard publication 853, which guides us on dealing with this cybersecurity controls. They are equally applicable on this. So if you are looking for a career in this industrial cybersecurity, you have a certification which you can do is like GICSP. It is very similar to GISPP. So it has like 115 questions. Practicing it's the main challenge. You need to clear with 71% of the score. You can give this exam on Pearson VU. I hope most of you guys know about it. There are different courses from SANS as well. 410, 418, 515, 612, 613. That provides comprehensive, knowledge on these IT security. International Society of Automation, they also have certain certifications. This is their track. So if you want to become cybersecurity expert, you need to complete certificate 1. So you can do certificate 2, 3, or 4. And if you want to go through cybersecurity expert, you need to do all 1, 2, 3, 4. and then you can attempt for the cybersecurity expert. Thank you. I have taken a lot time. I hope, yeah, I can open this session for any question answers.
आमिर भाई पिछली स्लाइड पे ले आए इसको, वहीं पे रोक दे, पिछली स्लाइड पे ना, बस यहीं पे रख के ना हम इसको रखेंगे इसका लास्ट। ठीक है, किसी को कोई सवाल है? Anybody has any questions? I will ask, you can unmute yourself in 1 minute. I will give you the rights. Okay, guys, you can unmute yourself, ask questions, do it one by one. And also, Amir bhai, just look at the chat.
Ji, I'm going through it. Okay, one question from Tariq is, actuators between field devices and final control elements always be passive? Okay, from the passive word, I understand that you are saying that field devices, these IDs and RTUs and PLCs, they sometimes become part of these actuators. So these are the basically actuators. Actuators was there in in mostly they are part of PLC or part of certain sensors which that PLC is giving instructions. So definitely they will not be passive, they will be active, because if certain action has to be performed in ICS environment, it has to be performed now and now. There is no storage and then performing it. So it will always be active, if I have understand your question. Supervisory control is fully automated or interacting with field devices. Supervisory control is completely automated or interacting with field devices, yes.
हेलो सर, आई एम आदिल रफीक। सर बेसिकली जिस तरह नॉर्मली हम अपनी आईटी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को सिक्योर करने के लिए जो टेक्नोलॉजीज यूज करते हैं, लाइक एडीआर, एक्सडीआर, सीम, जो सॉक टेक्नोलॉजी है जनरली, तो मेनली ये ओटी में भी हमारे पास मोस्टली इसी टेक्नोलॉजी की यूज होती है। इसके लिए कोई स्पेशलाइज अदर टूल्स भी हैं, लाइक जस्ट लाइक हमारे लिए जो डेटा के लिए डीएलपी आ गया, नेटवर्क के लिए एनडीआर आ गया।
देखिए, जो मेन पॉइंट है जहां से डेटा लीकेज हो सकती है, देखिए इसमें कोई डेटा तो नहीं क्रिएट होता, इसमें लॉग्स क्रिएट होते हैं। ओटी एनवायरनमेंट जब लॉग्स क्रिएट करता है, वो डेटा हिस्टोरियन सर्वर में जाके स्टोर होते हैं, और डेफिनेटली वहां से कोई जो लॉग्स अगर आप पूरे एक्सट्रैक्ट कर लेते हैं तो इट कैन बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन जो कि आईटी इन्वायरमेंट में पड़े होंगे। जहां तक एक्सडीआर की बात है तो स्प्लंक, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, इनके पास इंटायर सूट मौजूद है फॉर ओटी इन्वायरमेंट्स। सो यू कैन डिप्लॉय द सेम एक्सडीआर फ्रॉम द सेम सीम, फ्रॉम द सेम सॉर, और आप प्लेबुक्स भी बना सकते हैं इसके लिए, आप इसके ऊपर यूज केसेस भी बना सकते हैं, आप अपने एंड पॉइंट्स को भी डिप्लॉय कर सकते हैं, सेंसर्स भी डिप्लॉय कर सकते हैं कि अगर कोई चीज़ होती है तो देखें, स्काडा मैनेज करता है ओटी डिवाइसेस को, तो अगर आपने अपने ओटी को सिक्योर करना है तो आपने स्काडा को सिक्योर करना है। सो उसके लिए हम एक सेपरेट सेशन रखेंगे। मैं अभी ये सेशन से पहले मैं शराब भाई से कह रहा था कि हम जो प्रैक्टिकल टूल्स अवेलेबल हैं मार्केट के अंदर फॉर वर्नेबिलिटी स्कैनिंग, पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग, सिक्योरिटी मॉनिटरिंग, उसके ऊपर एक हम सेकंड सेशन रखेंगे। लेकिन ये टूल्स आपके पास नॉर्मली हैं एंटरप्राइज लेवल पे, स्प्लंक हो, लॉगरिथम हो, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट का स्टैक हो, दे आर इक्वली अवेलेबल फॉर ओटी इन्वायरमेंट एज वेल।
अच्छा आमिर भाई, आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन।
जी हसन। जी हसन, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही। हसन, आई कैन नॉट हियर यू।
Hassan, give me a minute. Let me see.
जी, ये बीसीपी से रिलेटेड एक सवाल आया है। वो कह रहे हैं कि बैकअप साइट फॉर कंटिन्यूएशन ऑफ ओटी आईसीएस प्रोसेसर इन बीसीपी। देखिए, एक है कि आपका एक प्रोसेसिंग फैसिलिटी है, ठीक है। उसका डीआर बनाना ऐसा है कि आपने एक पूरी एक दूसरी पैरेलल फैक्ट्री बना दी। गॉड फॉरबिड अगर आपकी मेन फैक्ट्री खत्म हो गई किसी इंसिडेंट की वजह से, तो आप दूसरी फैक्ट्री पे जाके काम कर लें। लेकिन जब हम आईसीएस या ओटी के लिए कंटिन्यूटी बनाते हैं, तो उसका मतलब है कि हम स्काडा सर्वर और उससे रिलेटेड जो भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है उसकी सिक्योरिटी बनाते हैं, और उसका फेल ओवर प्रोवाइड करते हैं कि जस्ट इन केस अगर कंट्रोल सेंटर की ओटी एनवायरनमेंट से डिसकनेक्टिविटी हो जाती है, तो जो बैकअप स्काडा साइट है वो कनेक्ट हो जाए सारे ओटी डिवाइसेस से। सो बीसीपी इज देयर, बट अगर आप किसी कंपनी के पास इतने फंड्स हैं कि वो पैरेलल साइट मेंटेन करती है, जैसे मैं अमेजोन को काफ़ी स्टडी करता हूँ ओटी के डिप्लॉयमेंट के हिसाब से, तो उनके कुछ वेयर हाउसेज ऐसे हैं जो कि चल रहे होते हैं, और कुछ ऐसे होते हैं जो कि बिल्कुल बंद होते हैं। वो उनको उसी वक्त यूज़ करते हैं जब खुदा ना खास्ता कोई बैड इंसिडेंट हैपन हो जाए, तो क्रिएट कर सकते हैं। तो अगर आप पूरी इंटायर फैक्ट्री क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, तो आप पूरा ओटी इन्वायरमेंट क्रिएट कर सकते हैं जो कि अनटच्ड है। मेन जो आपका बीसीपी होता है वो लाए करता है आपकी स्काडा सर्वर्स की बीसीपी पे, या आपने उनके रेप्लिका उनकी डीआर साइट बना के रखनी होती है। गॉड फॉरबिड आपका कॉन्टेक्ट सेंटर कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो गया या कॉन्टेक्ट सेंटर खत्म हो गया जहाँ पर स्काडा रिजाइड करता है, तो दूसरी साइट ओटी डिवाइसेस को टेक ओवर कर लेती है।
Okay. Amir bhai, actually, you have already answered half of my question that I was about to ask. So the main question
Yeah.
I was concerned about the testing of those environment, OT and ICS environment. So when we are saying that, in general change management principle that every change has to be tested before going into production. So in this
Mhm.
IT and OT and ICS case, so what controls do we have
Mhm.
to make sure that the changes are being tested before going to production? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. And like I said before, these OT devices have only one thing in them, firmware. That's the software they have. Now, the one thing is firmware, and other thing is the protocol that they interact with other devices or the SCADA system. So to take over any OT device, you either can compromise its firmware or you can compromise its protocol. Now, firmware is not readily available, definitely to test us to form certain attack on a firmware, you need that firmware. So these companies, they ensure the security through obscurity concepts. So firmware is not usually available in the market. God forbid if any firmware has been compromised or released in the market. So the entire suite of that OT devices following that firmware is compromised. So to make sure that any device getting into an OT environment is not prone to any cyber attacks, you have to simulate that environment, because OT environment is not like a normal IT environment where you can create a VM, you can install that application, and you can run burp suite or any other tool to check the vulnerabilities. So you have to take into a different simulation environment where you need to check that whatever protocols that OT is testing, you send that data to that and you test the behavior of that OT device. And now you will, they have certain tools available in the market. Like I said, burp suite is there. So a lot of OT security pen testing tools are there in which you have to select that particular device. They have flavors of like million devices in the world in it. You have to select that device. They have like pre-built payloads in that software, which you can execute and test that what is the behavior of that device if that payload is executed. So once again, the most common things are like configuration issues, out of date firmware issues, any redundant protocol that you are using, if it is being configured to be used, it's there. Because these OT devices, they are not working on normal ports or services like Windows and Linux used to work. They're working on only protocols and firmware. So these are like two main avenues where you can compromise an OT, you can take in control of that OT. If you have taken control of SCADA, God forbid, so the entire OTs are exposed, because now SCADA has to send the commands to control that devices. So if you have taken control of SCADA, you have taken the control of entire OT infrastructure. But if you want to test certain devices, which usually people don't do, because mostly the OT security is limitized until the SCADA and its communication with the OT devices. Because firmware is not usually available in the market. So there is the very highly chance that OT device firmware can be compromised, which has to be updated. If it's not updated, yes, you can compromise it. But if firmware is updated, you're performing proper patch management to the firmwares of all the OT devices, there's a very high likely chance that they can be compromised. I hope
Thank you.
I have.
Assalamualaikum, Amir bhai.
Ji, sir.
Amir bhai, I want to know the difference between the defense technology with reference to army and mobile defense technology. I mean, there are a lot of difference between the security of these industrial control systems and the mobile defense technology, or we can say defense technology. I mean, maybe the proprietary things are used, proprietary protocols are used in defense technology, or similar, I mean, same protocols are also used over there. And also
Well,
the same standards are
yeah.
also used, or each country is using their proprietary protocols, or maybe they are making their own standards.
Well, I answer your question, which is a quite a bit sensitive and quite relatable, because the entire the main backbone of defense-based OT security is the encryption standards and the communication channels. So, because this, if you talk about any airplane, has normally OT has electronic systems. So similarly, that defense, being a fighter jet or being a tank or being a submarine, they have certain PLCs inside them. They are PLCs, but those PLCs communication is very limited. Like avionics, 2 days before I was reviewing, there's a in China, there was a defense show going on, and they have revealed a 6th generation aircraft, which is using satellite-based communication for information exchange, and they are using AI, and they are doing this a lot of simulation inside the cockpit of that pilot. Now, that pilot is sitting inside that cockpit, and he's not sitting. He has all LCDs around him, and he can maneuver around. A lot of data going to that plane. A lot of AI based things are happening, and there's a lot of augmented reality things are in that plane. So now they're in that entire system, in that airplane system, there are a lot of PLCs, which we called as avionics, working, and they are sending the data to their main command and control center. So to deal with defense security is a totally different subject if we talk about normal OT security, because in OT security we are using certain common protocols that we know, but when we come to defense side, there are certain encryption standards, algorithms, communication protocols, which are strictly confidential and only limited to certain people who might have an access to it. So, like I said before, security through obscurity. Challenges are same because PLC is there, but the test bed to have the information about that PLC is very limited. The normal OT firmware, I might know from, Rockwell making certain OT devices, I can get those Rockwell softwares somehow, but to get to a certain defense, the manufacturers of these PLCs of avionics are same, like Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin from making fighter jets, Lockheed Martin from making avionic systems, but these Lockheed Martin guys, they are working on OT security as well. these Lockheed Martin guys, they are working on cybersecurity as well, because they have embedded proprietary security into their avionics system as well. So a thing is secure as much as its locks are secure, its keys are secure. So if those get compromised, every kind of security is flattened. So yes,
Thanks,
answering
much
to your
clear.
question, it is 50% relatable and 50% purely on the basis how much access of firmware or the communication encryption standards you have to bypass them. I think Tariq, you have asked this question in.
Yes,
So yeah,
much
yeah,
clearer
yeah.
now. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, OT certifications are very expensive. Because yeah, they are very expensive. Their courseware is also very expensive. Certifications definitely help in securing job in OT field, but I prefer to get as much knowledge as you can from these sessions, from the internet, from any books that you want to buy. It can help you getting into this field. A certification, like as you know, the guy on the top said, they are expensive. If you're working and you have that much budget, you can do those certifications as well. Training sources that provide general hands-on experience. Like you said before, they are very expensive. So training resources are there. Like if you have to do certain OT-based security, there's a lab, there's the PLC board that is available in the market. You can buy it. You can do your test labs over there. If you explore this certification that I said of OT security. So the lab is a separate subject other than certification cost.
Hello, Mr. Amir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for brief session on the ICS Cybersecurity. I'm also working for the airport in the Middle East, and we are also in process of implementing the OT cybersecurity project for the baggage handling system. So I can see a lot.
System.
Yes, I can see a lots of participants are asking question about the OT cybersecurity, as the industry is very well matured, I would say, in the IT cybersecurity level, but not on the OT level. So yeah, I would just request as a kind of a suggestion that in going forward, if we can arrange more session on the vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, and network segmentation according to the Purdue model in the OT environment, I think it will be great help for the participant and for the GSSP group. Thank you.
No, you're right. It's in our plan. And like I said before, I had a discussion with Shadasa that we would definitely take the series on. And in the next sessions, we will discuss how to monitor, how to, onboard monitoring the OT devices, like we do on normal IT environment. We scan, we install like sensors on endpoint. So how we can get details and access to any OT device. So if any playbook has to be executed, so how we can execute or access that particular OT device, how we can scan the vulnerabilities. I said before as well, like NIST has that OT module as well. So we can go through those content, and inshallah we will bring more sessions on it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर।
Yeah, अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर कोई ओटी सिक्योरिटी में अपना करियर आगे स्टार्ट करना चाह रहा है तो कहाँ से स्टार्ट करना चाहिए, क्योंकि आईटी सिक्योरिटी और इलेक्ट्रिकल टेक्नोलॉजी में अगर नॉलेज हो बेसिक तो कहाँ से हमें स्टार्ट करना चाहिए और कौन सी सर्टिफिकेशंस वर्थ रखती हैं मतलब स्टार्ट लेने के लिए, और आगे इसका फ्यूचर कैसा नज़र आ रहा है कि इसमें ज़्यादा एक्सपर्टीज चाहिए होंगी या बहुत रेयर जॉब्स होंगी या बहुत ज़्यादा जॉब्स होंगी, इस चीज़ के बारे में जानना चाह रहा हूँ।
अच्छा, question number one, how to get into this OT security. Definitely, if you are working in certain sector where you can have an exposure of getting into this OT security, you must get into that sector because I am working in aviation, like at airport, so I have like OT infrastructure with me. But if I would have been working into like bank, so definitely I will not have an exposure to that OT environment. So if you are working in certain certain organization where OT environment is there, that is a blessing. So you can talk to your seniors there or your colleagues there that you want to get into that security side as well. There is nothing new in terms of, if we say about from the governance aspect. Like I said before, you have to make policies for OT here. You have to make procedures to handle OT security. You have playbooks. You have SIEM deployment. You have vulnerability scanning. You have penetration testing exercise. You have to create a DR environment. You have to manage the unauthorized accesses. You have to look into the configuration management. You have to look into the change management. You have to perform a comprehensive risk assessment to get that risk register of OT environment. So you name anything from the IT environment as a GRC perspective, you have it in the OT environment as well. The main difference is that the infrastructure. I hope from the last presentation and this presentation as well, I have made my audiences clear that what actually is the OT environment and what is the main difference between IT and OT security, how you jump into OT environment, how you get out from OT environment, how they talk to each other, how we receive the automation. So if you have cleared these concepts, so you can get into these devices, you can learn about them. Internet is full of knowledge. The CIS, they have a separate industrial control in ICS controls available on their website. If you want to search, you can go CIS V8.1 industrial control security standards. So you will find a lot of controls there. You can browse each one of them. You can see how to implement that controls. And with having that certain knowledge, you can go to your seniors and ask for the opportunity to work in that OT security environment. And for the security certification perspective, like these certifications, ICE is the International Society of Automation that is actively working on OT security. You can go to their site, you can get their content. A lot of the content is there as a free. You can go to SANS. A lot of free courses are there on OT security. You can run down through those courses. You can get certain books in the market that are available on or ICS Security. So it totally depends how much eager you are and how much time you can give to learn these concepts. OT security, you will get it. And as far as international regulations and controls are concerned, so when I started, I said that the Gulf region is mostly working on this OT automation thing. Saudi Arabia is getting very strict on it. They have released this standard. They have a huge set of OT controls. If you go to website of KSA's regulators, you will find a lot of framework standards there about the OT security. You can take them and you can learn on them as well. Qatar is heavily working on this. Oman, which I'm here, they are also working heavily on it. Because this is something which is waiting for a disaster. The security subject has never been attended on the OT side, and things are happening in the world which are quite alarming. So I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, guys,
Yeah.
it is almost close to 2 hours now, so we'll close the session now. Thanks again for your participation. This week, I think people were tired, so maybe we had less people, but alhamdulillah, anybody who joined, he stayed till the end. So thanks again. And inshallah, we'll upload this session to our YouTube channel. If you attended for the first time and you did not see the last session, you can go to our YouTube channel, Gispp Academy, and you can find the recording of the old session. I put it in the chat earlier, so I will put it again. And inshallah, it will be very useful for you. And yes, I strongly suggest the guys, the young guys especially, okay, some of us have spent like 15-20 hours in the industry already. So the young guys, you still have a chance. Learn OT and you will have a good career, inshallah, because this is the need of the hour. It is very important. All industry has to be protected, and every industry will be having a vacancies for 2 to 3 people, inshallah. And considering Saudi Arabia, this is like we're not very Saudi OT experts still there. So there's a huge area available, inshallah, for you in Pakistan also. Okay, so think about it, get yourself ready, and don't worry about the expenses. Get the knowledge first, and maybe the companies who will hire you, they will get you trained also, inshallah, as long as you have the knowledge. So best of luck, and let's hope this is useful for some people. As Amir Bhai already mentioned to me, we will plan more sessions on the same topic because it is a huge topic, alhamdulillah. And alhamdulillah, we in this community, we have a lot of diamonds. We have a lot of very smart people as our members who are always available to share their knowledge. So thank you, Amir Bhai, for this wonderful 2 sessions. And let's stay in touch, and we'll do more sessions, inshallah, on multiple things. Some people were asking about the career guide. We did a session before on this one. Actually, if you go to our YouTube channel, you will see a playlist called OT Security, and you can see our old sessions, and you can see our one of them is for the career path also. It was part of a session, but I kept make it a separate video, so it is like 20 minutes video, and that will be very useful for you, inshallah, along with whatever I will share today. So the whole idea is like, if you go to all those sessions, they are from different experts from different times, and all of that information is very, very useful. And I will